I guess it's nothing here. Let me tell me if this is loud or not.
I can't hear.
Oh,
Well,
I'm
I
good.
can't.
Back up.
Okay, that's pretty good. All right, there we are. We are ready to go. All right, so the 1660 Ti doesn't have enough RAM. Does not have enough RAM for the power.
I honestly believe it's gonna be fine.
It's not. It's simply not. There's a reason the 4 GB 580 is worthless.
Okay, but those graphics cards even with the RAM would be worse.
What, the RX 580?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It's stronger than a 1060.
If it had more RAM, sure.
It's also cheaper than a 1060.
They're about the same price right now. They're both like
I
$300.
I don't know where you're looking at that, but I can get a RX 580 8 GB for like $200. They don't cost shit. Also, I do like Nvidia's or AMD's system.
No,
They're
they're typically 250 or
The 4.8.
the 480.
480 is cheaper. The 580 is almost it's
You
like
can get one right now for 170 on
the
Amazon.
8 gig or the 4
4 gig.
about the 8 gig.
Yeah. No, it doesn't have enough RAM.
260. Oh, that's the
Like-
590.
Okay, but they're still about this.
190.
The 6 GB
No, that's
is,
180.
games are continually using more and more RAM.
Right, which is why right. I agree with that. But every year too, games can also be or optimized for that RAM, as well as the fact that you got to remember we're not staying
There's-
at the exact same performance RAM every year. Every year we get a
the-
new version of RAM, and that RAM, I don't care.
The
Like,
fact
let
of
me
the
finish my
matter,
point. I let you finish. Let me finish mine. Okay. I understand that it's GDDR5 to GDDR6, right? But there's no graphics card currently using GDDR6 that's been extremely burned down with that little RAM. So we don't know what it's going to perform like compared to a 6 gig GDDR5 card.
I guarantee you the 2060 is going to be burned to the ground by a lot of stuff.
Okay.
It doesn't have the RAM to push Battlefield.
Funnily enough, you can play with ray tracing, DLSS, and ultra settings in 1080p at 90 frames per second.
With shit ass DLSS, and you can't use DLSS at 1080p.
Yes, you can on a 2060.
No, you can't.
On-
There's
on a-
not a
no,
single
on
game
a,
you can
on
use
a,
DLSS.
They just released it. Battlefield.
They didn't just release it.
Yeah.
You can't just make up stuff.
Go ahead and look it up. John, did Jay's 2 cents not just do this video 2 days ago?
Yes.
Playing with an RTX 2060 Battlefield 5 DLSS enabled. They just updated it.
Cool, they have DLSS on 2060s, but it's still not 1080p.
Yes, it is. It's for
It is
1080p only. The 2070,
Yeah.
the 2080, and the 2080 Ti cannot use DLSS on 1080p, but the 2060 can, and it can do it at 90 frames per second. You can watch Jay's video if you want to see, and he straight up
Damn
just
it.
shows you him doing it. The biggest problem is if you want to use DLSS, you have to enable ray tracing. Can't use DLSS without it.
Cool, but it still looks like shit.
Right. But it's also the first iteration of it being in like any game. It's gonna look like crap right now. They're gonna fix it.
The
Like-
whole idea behind it is just not worth it. It's not really a good idea.
The idea that games will look better is not a good idea. When you were just saying how you like
The type of so the type of anti-aliasing it does is upscaling by downscaling. which is idiotic. It's a very stupid idea. Now, I get it for performance reasons, but it just looks terrible.
Again, it looks
I can
terrible
only
in its
imagine
first
how bad it
iteration.
looks like on 1080p.
It actually looks about the same in 1080p as it does in 4K.
No, I'm looking at the screen right now with Jay's 2 cents, and it looks terrible.
It looks worse, but it's not like it's such a big difference. Like you're not going to notice it unless you're playing in 4K.
So the reason TXAA or TAA, as it's usually referred to, is the best is because it does it right. Now
except for it doesn't work because most computers can't handle it with good video
I was
settings.
getting to. It has a significant performance impact,
which is why that's why I'm trying to say that
depending
it's not the
on
best.
what type of what DirectX you're using. If it's on DirectX 12, it actually isn't that big. But not all cards run DirectX 12 the best.
Well, that's why I'm saying that they're both subject mainly to the user's opinion. Yeah, DLSS isn't great, but it's also not had nearly as long as the other one, and you prefer the fact that it looks better, right? But you have the performance cost.
It doesn't just look better; it pops out images better.
Right, but it's also got like 4 times the performance impact that DLSS has.
It's a 25% performance impact, which is really high. It's almost as high as screen space reflections.
Which is why I'm saying that it's not really the best option then, is it? Because most people don't have systems that can handle that. According to your statement about graphics card not having enough RAM. When most people are running 1060s
the thing
or 1070.
is, with ray tracing now an available option, screen space reflections and ambient occlusion are both cut out, which are some of the bigger things that are really performance heavy. With ray tracing combined with TAA, you could technically get a less performance impact than with traditional rendering. Assuming you have the card to handle it, of course.
Which doesn't exist.
No, it does. It's called the 2080 Ti.
But not really, because they're still trying to tweak the X alone.
No, they're trying to tweak the performance for 4K, which is stupid.
That's the next generation of gaming.
You're absolutely not right. You're absolutely right, but we don't have the technology for it, or at least not mainstreamly.
Okay, but if you have to either take the step into technology or into software to make one or the other move. That's all they did. They took a step into making the hardware.
No, they took a step to make more money.
But somebody still has to take the step either way, right? Somebody has to take the step towards 4K or towards ray tracing, or they'll never happen because everybody's afraid. Sure, they want more money, but they also had to do something to move forward.
Using most traditional rendering, we could probably hit 4K with the 20 series relatively easily.
You could easily hit 4K with
a 2080 Ti. You're not going to have too much problems with things unless the highest level of ray tracing is on. Funnily enough, the difference between ultra ray tracing and high ray tracing is a seriously good performance improvement, and it doesn't really look that much different. So I don't like. So what? Do you know the difference between ultra ray tracing, or at least what they call ultra ray tracing, and high ray tracing is?
Very, very minor.
So what ultra ray tracing is every photon, because it uses actual photons, so to speak, to bounce light properly, which is why you get real reflections with just lighting. So that's every photon is one bounce. With high, it's technically half a photon, half a bounce. It doesn't actually look that much different. It's basically like having the resolution, which isn't going to have as much of an impact as you think. Like, let's say you're playing any game that has pretty good looking shadows, and then just turn the shadows down a little bit. Still looks pretty good. That's basically what you're doing.
But the thing is, people will make that sacrifice, but they don't want to. Right? None of us want to turn on our settings in video games now, but we don't.
Like, I can't play Resident Evil on the highest possible settings because my RAM. I don't have enough RAM. I can't. Texture streaming takes up everything because the game has 4 to 8K textures.
So I've never tried playing, but as far as like everything else goes, like Rust, Grand Theft Auto, Tarkov, all those games, with the exception of Tarkov, but it's not graphical problem as Tarkov. It has other issues that cause. I don't. I don't have a visual problem.
Like GTA, the problem is in its advanced settings. Setting it to its absolute highest settings will cause you to have issues if you aren't.
Pretty much always play on the high. The only time I have problems like 47 cars explode.
Do you have the highest anti-aliasing?
Pretty sure.
I highly doubt that. It has pretty old tech TXAA, which is even more performance heavy than modern TXAA.
Yeah, but I'm still pretty sure I had it enabled. You can doubt it all you want, but I'm almost positive it was enabled. Like 98%.
I highly doubt it. I've run it with FXAA.
Right, but not every system does the same either, though. Like, just because you're having troubles with it doesn't mean everybody does. Because you have problems running games that I run just fine, and vice versa. I can't run in worse shape, but you can. It does really depend. Remember, not every card is built exactly the same. They do have flaws with them.
Well, I'm overclocking and shit.
So am I. Everything in my system's overclocked.
It's probably my RAM, actually. My internal RAM.
That could be causing you problems, sure.
Oh, yeah,
GTA
I think
5,
it is.
especially GTA 5, it's really picky. I'm not talking like just specifically video RAM, like actual just memory. It's brutal with that. Because whenever I only had 4 gigs in the one system, like my laptop, because I could play it on my laptop, but I only had 4 gigs, that ran like it's better with my 8 gigs of free, but when I got my DR4, it went up substantially, and it was 16 gigs. I have no. But I've also got 1,000 megahertz DDR.
Yeah, I don't have that.
And I got 16 gigs of it.
But regardless, basically, if you have 4K textures in a game, it's going to be running around 5 gigs of RAM, regardless of how fast that RAM is, because of how much space it occupies.
Right. But how much load is it putting? How well can those 5 gigs handle?
Well, I mean, that's irregardless of the problem.
Right, but if it has 6 gigs, that means it has more than enough. It has enough for the. You might not be.
It has enough for that, but you're not going to turn all the other settings up because you can't. It will run out of RAM, and because
you're also
stuttering.
Not accounting for companies who have been able to optimize.
I don't care how well you optimize it. If you have 4K textures, it's going to use 5 gigs of RAM.
It doesn't have to.
It
doesn't have to.
It does.
You know
that's how texture streaming works.
No, Forza Horizon 4.
The worst optimized game ever.
They're not. They play on console. They can't be that badly optimized. They have 4K graphics.
They only use a single core on PC.
They have. Right, that's PC.
No.
There's also only one on PC.
You're right. It's only on PC because Microsoft is an asshole. That's why.
Right, but Forza Horizon is a console game. Therefore, it can't be that poorly optimized. And the fact is all of the graphics in that game are either 24K downscaled to 4K or straight up 4K graphics, and they're playing on Xbox. So if you do it right, and I guarantee you Xbox doesn't have more than 6 gigs of RAM as memory. I doubt they even have that. So if they can do
Xbox has 8 gigs of onboard RAM. But that's total RAM.
Yeah,
it's combined with CPU and RAM.
And
it doesn't have integrated graphics card RAM.
So
the game you picked was an incredible anomaly, simply because of So the way Forza's graphics work is a little bit odd, right? So it has what's called it's the essentially the textures downscale based on where you're looking, which is smart, but really, really bad for a normal computer because you're unnecessarily running the CPU. Well, you see, the Xbox has like a 16 core CPU, so it will
I think it's a six.
put.
I don't think it has
Yes, it's
60
like a
threads. I think
it's
It's
like a.
It's an 8-core processor.
I don't think you're right. I think it's
No,
a.
No, it's an 8. It's an 8-core.
So either way, still 8 cores aren't the norm yet. They're getting very close.
on PC. I think most. I don't know about 8 cores, but everybody.
The absolute newest ones, like Intel, you're 6 to 8, right, John?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Those are the absolute newest. The 9 series, even though it's trash and no one should
No,
ever
the
buy
9
it.
series has like.
Oh,
Because the.
I'm talking about the i7 is an 8 core.
The
Not
new-
everyone's going to have an i7, and
i3
then
the new one's 4-core. I
i5
think.
Yeah.
is 6.
so
The
Six.
i7 is 8, and the i9 is 6.
we still don't
I
have a
think-
baseline 8 core yet.
Well, you do if you go to AMD.
Well, I mean that's not really baseline. If you want an 8 core, you go to AMD. I mean, why would you?
Well, with Ryzen, that made the switch.
Right? Yeah. I
even
mean,
argue-
Ryzen. If you want high core count, you go Ryzen. If you want good single core performance, you go Intel. Intel still has technically better CPUs for gaming.
Although
But
their
most
For
single
people-
core
single-core
isn't,
performance, yes.
but their single core performance isn't like night and day anymore.
Oh no, you're right.
Ryzen is so close that it doesn't really matter. Like, there's no real benefit really going with either one.
I'm only getting if I would upgrade to the new i9, I would only get like a 25% increase, and that's just not enough for me.
Well, that's over also a first gen Ryzen. We don't even know what third gen's gonna look like yet.
And if I were to upgrade it to a 2700X, it would be a 15% increase, so to speak. So I don't really see a good enough reason to upgrade to either right now.
See, the problem
I'm
with
waiting for the
CPUs is,
3000.
honestly, I think we're reaching the limitations of just the style of CPUs we have.
We are reaching the limitations of silicon very quickly.
That's kind of the same problem where we are with GPU. Like, yeah, they keep getting more and more power, but if anybody's like really the amount of performance gain we get every year, and I'm sure some of it's intentional so that they can keep cards, but even they are starting to reach their limitations.
Oh, absolutely. How big of a difference is the 2080 Ti to the 1080 Ti?
I think it's like
It's not really that amazing.
no, but it's still more powerful. Regardless of how amazing it is, more powerful is still more powerful.
It's still the most powerful consumer graphics card.
That's what I always
but-
try to explain to people too. They're like, "Oh, it's why buy it?" Well, people are gonna buy it because they want the most powerful. That 7% means something to somebody.
Oh yeah,
For us on a day-to-day basis, like even for me as a streamer, right? That 7% isn't enough to justify dropping $800. Like if I already had a 1080 Ti, $800 would not be justified with 7. I wouldn't see that much of an increase in anything else. Maybe like 2 or 3 FPS. I'm pretty sure it's like 7% that it goes up.
yeah. Here, I'll figure this out right now on stream. So, 1 second. Streamlabs, teach me how to do it. Oh,
It
okay.
looks like
Don't.
oh no, wait, oh no, maybe it's a 33%. Because that's speed 42. No, actually, it looks like it's substantially more.
Let's see.
Looks like it,
Is
overall.
that showing up?
Overall, it looks like it might be like. Is there like an overall number?
Let's see, 1080 Ti, or is it? There we go. 2080 Ti. Compare. So that doesn't show me a damn thing. Okay, there we go. Nope, doesn't show me literally anything about it. This is a absolutely terrible website.
Okay, so here's on user benchmark, right? Conclusion is average percentage is 198% 80 Ti. The average percentage for the 1080 Ti is like that's their. They say, okay, here it is, 30% faster. So there's it. I guess the 2080 Ti is 30% faster, which that's justifiable. That's a huge. Talking about almost half. But the 1080 Ti is $800, and the 2080 Ti current it's right around like $1,200.
So on user benchmark, it says that
it says 30%.
33%.
Now, if you scroll down to where it says conclusion, the upshot is that it has around a 30% faster effective speed than the 2080 Ti. But it's also the 1080 Ti is also $1 cheaper.
Yeah, but it's also not being made anymore.
That's true, but the point still stands that for people who already have the 1080 Ti, right?
Oh yeah.
What do you need? Like, what need is there to switch to the 2080 Ti?
There's not a huge reason.
For creators, there's a huge reason. That's 30%. That makes a huge difference.
It's for a specific few. It makes a difference. Creators, streamers.
I'm not talking about. Yeah, I'm not talking about like
But even then, Dr. Disrespect uses the 1080 Ti. He said on a stream earlier today. He doesn't. There's no reason for him to use it. For if you're playing any of the like Fortnite, PUBG, any of those games, who cares? Unless you're playing absolutely the top of the line games, it's not necessary.
The problem is
and there's
now that the 2080 Ti is here, games are going to push it further now.
No, that's true, but they aren't quite here yet. There's like 7 games that use ray tracing, I think.
Okay, we're just ignoring ray tracing. There's a bigger list than that, just some of them aren't out.
I think a few of those games are actually mods.
No, there's like
because I know that the Quake mod is one.
Yeah, but Nvidia's got like a list of actual titles that.
Oh, sure, but how many of them will people care about?
Well, that's there. They're still going to have it.
I mean, to be fair, as of right now, Metro Exodus is the best looking game I think I've ever seen. It looks beautiful. The lighting in that game just destroys Battlefield by 100 miles.
Well, yeah, but I mean, we're talking about Battlefield.
Well, yeah, well, we're also talking about Metro, which has always pushed the boundaries of.
Yeah, I was gonna say Metro has always tried to look really, really good. Battlefield isn't so much about looking as.
I remember trying to play Metro 2033 on my 760, and it just didn't want to play. It was a hard game to run on that 760.
I don't know. I just think like everybody's is honestly just getting too upset about Nvidia's car.
They're doing a lot of dumb stuff.
Right, but first off, it's Nvidia. Right, it's not exactly new for them. They did stupid shit with the 10 too.
Well, I mean, I imagine the 1660 or whatever the hell it's supposed to be.
It's a GTX 1660 Ti. It's already available for purchase. Order it right now.
Well, anyways, whatever the hell that's supposed to be is probably just a 1060 with better RAM, and then it's been boosted to hell and back.
Nope, it's a 2060 without the tensor core. And it's got a higher clock speed.
Why? What about the 1160? Isn't that a thing?
Nope.
So it's the 1660, not the 1160. I
Yep,
see.
they just skipped the 16. There's no 1660. It's a TI only variant.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Which other versions I think should be coming out?
Yeah, they
sometime?
talked about. They're basically all going to be the RTX cards, but with the tensor cores essentially disabled. With with slightly higher
don't.
clock speed.
If they do a 20 or 1888 or whatever they would decide to do. Oh. Oh, apparently no one can hear you guys.
That's got to be on your end.
But I don't know why, because it's supposed to be picking up my desktop, and you're technically on my desktop.
Unless you have the wrong one selected. Or just
What is
audio. It has a default setting. I need to be able to make sure. You might need to make sure that it's actually.
I think I got it now. Let's see. Can you hear them, Kyle?
But yeah. I think the
Yes.
on tensor they're just stupid. They don't make sense.
No, they don't. I mean, a 2060 without RTX makes sense, but none of the other ones really do. Because why would you buy one of those cards without the selling point?
Because it's more powerful, and you're not wasting tensor cores. Cheaper. Instead of being, let's say that they make a 2080 Ti without tensor cores. So let's say it's the 1880 Ti. For shits and giggles, it'd be cheaper, and you wouldn't have useless cores that you could.
I don't know.
I mean, that's the only reasoning I can give it. Is that they'll be cheaper. They'll be more than the 10 series cards, but they'll be less than the 20 cards. That's just it. They performance wise, they fall right in between. Price wise, they fall right in between. It'll be more for those people who don't want to ray trace. You don't gotta. You can get it for cheaper, and you don't have to worry about ray tracing. I'm not gonna use it. Paying extra for things that don't matter.
I mean, look here. Here's 109 FPS for PUBG to 133. Is that really enough performance increase?
The only reason they said is 1660 because it's closer to 20.
NVIDIA's marketing team is full of retards.
Yeah.
Because I'm on a Gamers Nexus.
Why not call it the 1160 so you can continue that line in case you want it for further use?
Because 16 is closer to 20.
Oh
That's
my
why.
god.
Yeah, they did it because they're supposed
That's
to.
so dumb.
Not be.
That's so dumb.
Yeah, I know.
What? Whatever. No, it does not.
I mean, to be honest, I'm not really expecting much out of the because I don't think it's gonna be much more valuable. Oh, other than the fact that they don't make 10 series.
Yeah, I think that's about it. I don't know. But I think NVIDIA needs to get their head out of their asses.
And maybe Intel's graphics card come and level the playing field between everybody.
No, I hope Intel's cards burn and die. I really do.
Just waiting to Navi.
Navi better be amazing fucking.
I just want their current, what is that, the Radeon 7 or whatever? I just want that to lower in price. Seriously, I will buy that right now if it lowers in price.
Yeah, but they're not going to.
I don't know. Well, it's AMD. We'll find out.
That's the problem.
Well, you can get a Vega 56 for 280 or something like that, $300.
I don't want a Vega 56. It sucks. It's no
For
better than what I
280
have.
bucks, that seems like a great deal.
It's no better than what I have.
Eh.
Like, I know I was talking about how much RAM would be a serious benefit for my power right now, but I don't I don't want to buy something that's the same power, just has more RAM. That's dumb.
You get a Vega 56 for 363. That's half of the price.
Yeah, that's like what I paid for my card.
It's actually less than what you paid for your.
Actually, no, I think I paid 280 for mine. But that was back when they first came out and they weren't $1 billion.
I think 1070s right now are running like mid 400.
A 1070 isn't a, like my problem is with the 1060. A 1070 isn't enough for me. It's not enough of a benefit for me to spend. Only a 1080 Ti, a 2080, and a 2080 Ti are the only ones that are worth spending money for where I'm at. I just don't. I'm not going to spend $400 for a card that I get barely any benefit from.
Yeah, no, I mean I totally agree. That's why I'm not playing. I'm playing on a 1050 Ti. I stream with. That's what I play on. Like, there's no benefit for me.
Right.
That's like me. I have a 1060, but I'm keeping it back with my FX series processor, so I don't really need to upgrade the graphics. I need to upgrade my processor.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like my brother's got a 750 Ti in his, but his computer can't actually take advantage of it because he's running a second gen i5. Like, taking advantage of it, but still not even using that to his. Which is the only reason I didn't get him a 1050 Ti because 1050 Ti was like dollars more, but he wouldn't anywhere near its potential with i5.
Oh.
What?
No, I turned on your version of the stream and
Yeah, John's on the other side,
yeah.
and I also don't chat box. That's why. The other thing too is I have everybody, which is
I have I don't know
I
if
do
John
have
has.
one.
Do you?
The Twitch? Yeah,
Yes.
is it under King J?
I'm pretty sure it is. I just never really used it. I think I used it a long time ago.
Also, I don't think your stream is working properly.
What do you mean? It looked like it was working properly for me.
On mine, the background's not moving.
I
There it goes.
just
Apparently, it was.
might want to type properly. There we go. Yeah, sorry, I was editing it. Maybe that was it.
Might have been. Gee. Oh, add a 1 before the I in King. This is K1INGJ.
Oh my god.
It's K1ing.
You guys and numbers.
Listen, I don't want to hear fucking 656.
Hey, mine's just a number after the name. Mine isn't in the
Mine's
name.
just a backwards.
That's not how that works.
It is how it works.
That is not how that works. I should do King 2J or K2NG.
No, there is still an I in there. It's K1INGJ.
Oh my god, John.
I just made
John.
it too difficult. Didn't I?
He fucked up.
Well, to be fair, King J was already taken. King 1 in it was already taken.
Come
So
up
I
with
put
a better name.
both of them in.
Put another, make another name.
Want me to make it 2 1s?
Yo, King with the follow. You want me to spam it out? I'll spam it out. I'm following myself, boys.
Make your merch link or page.
What do you mean?
You gotta copy and paste it. It doesn't actually set links.
Oh yeah, I forgot to do that.
What you got?
I
Five,
have
6
one
merch
thing.
yet?
It has my face on it.
You look at mine lately?
I have not.
I don't know.
Yeah. I can check it out right now. Hey. Let's see. Where's it? My merch store. Yeah, clickable thingy.
There, have both channels up on my screen.
Oh, I clicked on a thing. Oops. Let's see here. Play capture. No, I want to see it. There we go, Streamlabs. You got it. Yeah. Come in here and just. Oh, there's no way to comment. Dang it.
No.
I was gonna be like, yo, everyone jump in and leave bad comments.
Leave bad comments, you dig. I think it's actually
Who's
pretty
gonna-
comfortable because I bought one of those. Pretty comfortable.
Who's gonna buy a freaking poster?
Put them on there. Just putting items in there that people might.
Not interested in anything.
Yeah, I'm not
John,
either.
you can't afford anything.
Affording and interested is two different things.
Right.
True, I can't afford it, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna be interested in buying it.
Yeah, I want to buy you. I want to buy you one of yours, and then just take it. Get a sticker of mine, and then stick it right over yours.
Then to resell
Hey,
it.
Yeah.
Go for it, because I'm still making money off of it either way. So you could buy it and burn it.
Yes.
But if you do that, make sure you buy a couple extra.
I might actually buy one.
Let me get a mug for quality testing purposes. Go for it.
If you get any of the 656 stuff going, I'll probably pick up.
You know, the worst part about it is I only make like $3 off of it.
Yeah, I only make like $3. Like when I bought my hoodie, because I got like advanced shipping and stuff, I paid extra to have it like. It cost me $49, and I get the discounted price because of my stuff. I don't have to pay the extra for it. So I think that hoodie's like $30. I make $4 off of it anytime someone buys it. It still ended up costing me $49 because I overnight shipped it.
Oh my god.
After I shipped it, I'm like, yeah, I won't be doing that again.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty expensive for doing that.
Yeah. I mean, they're not bad. They're not bad quality. Honestly, I'm not gonna say they're the greatest. Definitely be better, at least the hoodies. But they're comfortable. I like them because they're the California fleece, so they're light. They still cut wind and stuff,
Right.
and they're more for me sitting at the computer. Stream. My solo stream. That's what they're. They're not really meant for wearing around and stuff.
Right. Yo, Kyle, if you get off streaming, you can come and join us if you want. I don't actually know if you can hear that, but you know.
I'm pretty sure I mean, I heard you.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know if he has me muted because he's also streaming.
Probably.
I mean, I would assume. Time is at 9:48. It's pretty early.
Metro Exodus.
I mean, I'm kind of peeved that it's not on Steam. I really would rather it be on Steam than anything else. But
Did you see the people pulling the stickers off of their actual physical copy of them for Epic Games, and they peel the sticker up and says Steam on the bottom of it?
did it really?
Yes, I seen some pictures of it. It was funny
That's kind of funny.
because it was going to be on Steam, then they pulled out from it.
Well, yeah, it's just
Well,
like
yeah.
what's the other game doing that? It's one. I think it's one of Ubisoft's games.
I don't know. Here, let me open up the Epic Store.
Yeah, that was it was whatever game was
The Division. The Division 2.
That's right. Yeah, that was supposed to be on Steam, and they pulled out, and now they're only gonna upload it. Well, they're not doing it on Steam. They're doing it on Epic Games. Obviously, their launch.
Yeah, of
Who
course.
buys things from their launcher?
Not a
the,
single one.
the only reason people have that launcher is installed is because you have to install it to launch the game.
Well, Steam takes a 30% cut from their
That's why a
sales.
lot of companies are moving. Right now, it's a 9% cut for Epic Games.
No, it's 12.
12?
It's 12%.
I thought it was less.
So
No, it's 12.
no, it
12.
was. It's
Oh, yeah,
not
okay,
12,
so-
John.
Unless
No. It's 12 if you're using the game engine. Because if you're using their game engine with their cut, it's 12%
On Epic or
on
Steam?
Epic. No, Epic because
Epic.
that's
On Epic, if you're using their engine, you don't have to pay a thing.
Yes, you do.
No, you don't have to pay a single thing
Yes, you do. They take a
because
cut.
you're already paying them. No, that was part of the whole thing. Like if you're using the Epic Game Engine or the Unreal Engine, you don't have to pay a thing.
No.
But of
You
course,
do
not
now.
every game uses it.
No, you do now. To have your game on their launcher, it's 12% if you're using their game engine because they still take the cut that you get from the game engine.
No,
And
I
then they
see.
take
I
a
don't
cut
think.
for-
I don't think.
No,
you're
it is
right. I
because
really don't.
Ashes of Creation was just talking about this because they were debating whether they were going to put the game on here or still do their own launcher.
See, I don't know if I like to. I'll listen to it. Ashes, seeing as the dumb shit that they've been doing recently.
They haven't really been doing anything dumb though. Like, really, they haven't. They're still
So-
working on the MMO. They're still on schedule as of right now. There's a playable test for some of their systems available. So what are they doing that's dumb? The only thing that they fucked up was network code. But that's typical of an MMO. That's nothing new. That's just simply because they won't use somebody else. They're insisting on doing it themselves. Which is fine if you have the people who know how to do it, but we don't know what their network team experience. Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Walking Dead game. I'm actually gonna look that up. I'm curious to see what the cut is. All right, so here's an official statement from Epic Games, and this is the breakdown. Okay, so if you're using Unreal 4 and you put it on the Steam store, you would essentially be losing 35% because Epic takes a 5% cut for video games. It uses their engine, and then you're losing another 30% to Steam. So the developer would be making 65%.
They drop the cut if it's on Epic
Right.
Games.
Yes. Let me continue. If you were using Unity, you'd be getting 70%. So if you were going to put a game on Steam, you'd be better off using Unity because even though it's only 5%, 5% can be a lot depending on how much you're making. Now, if you're using Unreal 4 on Epic Games, it's a 12% cut. That 5%'s gone, but you still have to pay 12%. So you don't get charged extra for using the engine, but it's still a 12% cut they take. And it's even at that, it's still a 12% cut, even if you use a Unity to put your game on Epic. So they'll even let you put Unity games on there, but it's still a 12% cut.
Right.
So you can make 88% of your revenue on Epic, straight across the board. It doesn't matter what engine you're using, you get 88%. Now, if you go to Unity or if you go to Steam, you're only gonna make 65 or 70. That's a huge difference. You're literally they're taking double the cut from you.
Yeah, like, so I get it. I get why a lot of people are moving over to Epic. I think it's a really bad decision in the long run. Sure, you're technically making more money, but you're really not making your customers happy. Steam has things that
That's
nothing
that's
else has.
opinionated. That's very opinionated, because a lot of people aren't happy with Steam. They just use it because it's the biggest marketplace.
Sure, hate it or love it, Steam has things that nothing else has, though. Comments, forums, communities, it has everything a consumer would want.
Except for a lot of those features you're talking about don't really get used that much.
Used much or not, if they're used, they're worthwhile.
To a point. But we're also talking about Epic Games, which is just now launching their like official store. You can
I
only
think
play
they
Epic
launched
Games
it a
titles.
little bit early. I think they really jumped the gun.
I don't think they did. Honestly, I think this
Absolutely,
is
I do. I can't stand using that launcher. It drives me nuts.
But that's your opinion. There's people who can't stand using Steam.
Why can't I post a comment?
Because there's only been 2 games you can play on it. This has just now become a store.
They open it up and you can't post a comment. You could do that day one on Steam.
Here, you know why you can't post this comment? Because you can go to YouTube and bitch about it all you want.
Sure, but the developer isn't going to see that.
Developer's not going to look at the comments either. If they did, games wouldn't be shit. The developer doesn't care what you're posting in Steam's comments unless it's an indie company.
Right.
Which
and indie companies are going to move to Epic that doesn't have that.
But they still have connections to their communities. There's an easy way around that.
That's not an easy way. It's a hard way.
No, because
most of the people are going to be on the platform they buy it from. Not on their forums, on some other website.
But where'd you hear about it from? Probably not Steam. Most people don't hear about games on Steam. They find them on YouTube or Twitch or some random site.
They find big games on YouTube or Twitch, not
no,
all.
They find most games on there. Where do you think Ashes of Creation? I know I keep using this as an example, right? Indie studio, brand new game. All of its news. There's 700,000 registered players. They have not done a single bit of news themselves. All of their followers and stuff come from YouTube and Twitch. Okay.
I highly disagree.
That's exactly how it is. They've not made any public articles that they have literally not campaigned a single second by themselves. Not once. Not a single bit of.
I fully feel like Ashes of Creation is a unique entity.
Okay, but if one company can do it, other companies can use the exact same methods that do it themselves.
Not all companies are going to do it the same way.
Okay, so there's your point for why Epic doesn't have comments or communities. They don't have to do the exact same thing Steam's doing. They want to be their own launcher. They want to be their own store.
The difference is they're a big company.
But so is Steam.
There's a thing called customer service that they deeply lack. When they could have a self-run customer service.
Okay, and we probably will get it.
All they need is a small forum for each game.
And we will probably get that in the future, regardless of whether they launch with it or not.
I don't think we will. I seriously don't think we will.
If the demand's big enough, we will get it.
The demand has nothing to do with how business works anymore. Business is run completely by investors. Well, investors don't want that stuff.
Then your point, your point of we want it because then doesn't stand. Because then, if you're being
what I'm saying is it's all
because Epic Games is a game development company
dying because of investors.
Right, but Epic, you gotta remember, Epic Games is not just a game engine. They're not just a game store. They are also a game company. They make video games. If they are that worried about comment sections, it'll be there. Honestly, most companies don't look at comments. They just don't. They're gonna make the game that they make, and they'll do bug fixes, but they're not gonna look in comment sections for bug fixes. They're going to look at their bug reports, their forums, that kind of stuff. They don't go to Steam and look through the 50,000 reviews that are on there. They just don't do it. Those reviews are there for other people looking at the game. And like I said, this is 2019. Exactly. Everybody goes to YouTube to look for those reviews. They'd rather see somebody actually playing the game and look at the footage for themselves.
I absolutely don't agree with that. Every time I go through a game on Steam, if I'm thinking about buying it, I am going to scroll down and look at the comments.
But the problem is you can't look at those. Because some people will give it a bad review just because. They'll be like, game's garbage, nothing, that's it. That's like
That's why there's
90% of them.
100,000 reviews for each game. You
There's
scroll
not.
down, read a few.
I've scrolled down into games that have been out for 4 years and seen 6 reviews.
Well, I don't know what games you're looking at.
Ones that are made by indie companies that aren't that big. Unless it's a big title, there's not that many reviews on them, or they're not very detailed reviews.
That's not entirely true. You must have just had random occurrences.
I'm
I
not
have
saying
never
that's-
found one that has had less than 20.
I'm not saying that they're all that way. There's definitely indie games that have titles too.
I have straight up bought games that I haven't been interested in and bought based off of in-depth reviews and enjoyed them. They are important for the consumer. Whether you use them now or not is irrelevant.
Right.
Other people do.
But the same thing can be said to you, regardless of whether you use them or not. Other people don't.
Exactly.
People
That's the
do
point.
and don't. So
you're always going to get people that do, and you're always going to get people that don't.
right. So Epic
Having
Games
them
not
there is
having it
important
isn't going to
to
affect.
cover your freaking bases.
Right. But at the same time, they just look at it and go, it's a waste of time, it's a wasted asset in their opinion.
No, it's not.
But
It's an
that's
important asset.
that's a hugely opinionated fiction. It might
It's
not.
It's a hugely opinionated depiction to say it's also not. Therefore, it's an important thing to
If they
invest
put it
in.
there, they put it there. If they don't, they don't. Because it doesn't, just because you want it doesn't mean it's hugely important. Like, you have to look at statistics, right? Epic Games probably has looked at statistics, because I can guarantee you they have people who do that, and they've deemed the comment section not a valuable use of their time in developing their Epic store.
I don't think they care about that at all. I think they just care about making money. Have you seen Fortnite? Have you played Fortnite?
Yeah, it's also one of the most loved games right now.
It's also a giant cash grab, I mean.
And so is every other video game out there.
Oh,
There's not a
every big
single
game.
video game coming out right now that's not some kind of cash grab. Not one. Because if there was, then Far Cry New Dawn wouldn't be a thing.
Well, if we're talking about AAA developers, they've all been cash grabs for the last 10 years.
And most indie titles are now too. Everybody's just starting to make a quick dollar. Go to Steam. How many hundreds of games just came out today that are for sale that you would buy, start playing, get 2 hours in, and then that's it, it's done?
I don't completely disagree with that, but I do partially do. I don't think every game is.
No, not every game, but almost every game.
There's a lot of games out there that is just...
The number of cash grab games compared to the number of not is so overwhelming that just games in general have a bad name now.
Look at the biggest game right now, Apex.
Yeah, it's also being made by a company who's owned by the worst fucking company in the world.
To be fair, I don't actually think this game was a cash grab. I think this was a game designed to pick up their stock, which was hugely low, and it did exactly that in like a week.
No, but they've also openly stated too that EA doesn't have anything to do with their game either. They're adamant about EA not being a part of it. I mean, which is a big deal, because if EA had anything to do with it, this would be a shit game. Apex would not be anywhere near where it is now.
EA did have something to do with it. It's called loot boxes.
Yes, and no, every game has loot boxes now. Not like it's that big of a deal. At least every battle royale has loot boxes. You can literally not play a single battle royale right now that does not have loot boxes. Any.
That's all EA BS, and
well, that's pay to win / cash shop. That's what that is. But EA didn't start that. That's been a thing for decades.
EA did start that. No, it all started with Mass Effect 3.
No, it all started with MMOs like World of Warcraft, and
it became a mainstream thing in Mass Effect 3 with its multiplayer.
Right, but where did EA get the idea from? From MMOs.
No, they got that idea from freaking casinos.
Yes, but I'm sure that they looked at MMOs who were already using cash shops and were like, "Look how well it's working for them. Let's go with that."
I'm not entirely sure that the information was out there for that at that point.
Well, it had to have been. It's public knowledge that MMOs had loot boxes and people were buying them like fucking crazy.
How many MMOs does EA have?
Just because EA doesn't have MMOs doesn't mean they can't look at MMOs and see how well they're doing. Again, it comes
I don't
back.
think EA is. I really don't think EA is looking at that. So
EA definitely looks at that. I
EA
can
is ran by
promise you,
a business
right?
perspective.
And as a business perspective, okay, I guarantee you they look at that. They have employees who sit there and research all of the genres and what other companies are doing and seeing the trends, and then they go with it. I promise you that.
Well, I don't think it was it was trends in 2012.
It doesn't have to be trends. Like I said, MMOs have been doing it for years. Somebody was looking at ways to earn the company more money and seen that MMOs had cash shops and that people were buying from them all the time. And they brought it up. I'm sure they did more research than just going, "Oh, it works for MMOs. Let's just recommend this and do it." Like they obviously did other research, but I promise you that they looked at that stuff and said this could be a good idea. That's the logical thing to do as a business run.
Yo, what's up, GNC Clover? I mean, maybe. How's it going, GNC? What's going on, dog?
NC.
Is it GNC or is it GN? Yeah, it's GNC Clover.
Okay. Yeah, it's GNC Clover.
It's like I'm gonna mute myself on stream. I'm gonna open up the food, and it's gonna be really annoying.
All right.
Ow! I hit my hand off my desk, and it hurt really bad.
I think I caught the tail end of.
Yeah. Ow.
I mean, as far as the whole business thing goes, the only reason that I say that is like that's what I spent a lot of my school time doing. That I loved business. That's what I partook in, and I basically guarantee that there's no way that EA doesn't look at what other companies are doing. It's just physically impossible.
They definitely do. I think they have a, what is that? What would that be called? What kind of department would that be?
I don't know what that would be.
Would that be considered PR?
No, I don't necessarily. It would probably fall under research and not necessarily like R&D. I'm sure it would be like a subdivision of R&D.
It might be R&D.
Yeah, it'd probably be a subdivision of R&D. People researching the current trends, what other companies are doing, ways.
Well, I know. EA has a huge R&D department.
It would also be part of their financial department too, because their financial department would be like, "Listen, we need to make more money," and then they'd be like, "Let's find ways to do it." They would probably delegate it to other people. Like somebody still made those decisions and still did research.
Like, do you know how EA is run, like business-wise?
Like most other businesses.
Like a bank, actually.
Which is how a lot of other businesses run, honestly. It's the most effective way to do it.
Their board of directors is basically filled with all of their investors, like a normal business.
Yeah, like a normal publicly traded.
You know how EA stocks, the last right? Dude, they have a huge stock.
I thought they were on stock market.
Yeah, so the reason Apex even came out was because, well, their stock market was down to 49%, which is huge.
Well, it depends on what it was at before.
It was near its highest, actually.
The thing with the stock market too is numbers always fall.
They were like, I want to say 100 billion, something like that, something really ridiculous.
Yeah, but I'm talking percentage. Like, how many percent did it actually fall? Because it didn't fall like 50%.
No, it fell a total at its maximum lowest point was like 49%, below where it was at its highest.
Right, but that wasn't like an overnight thing.
Last year.
I was gonna say it took course over a year, and the reason that happened is because EA's been pissing off the gaming community. Like,
Oh yeah,
heavily.
everyone hated EA before, but now everyone truly despises EA. And you know what? I play Apex, but I'm not buying another EA game. I ain't paying shit for that company. I'm only one person, and my money means nothing to them.
EA,
But
as far as a business goes, like making money, they're doing phenomenal. Like as far as successful businesses go, they are a successful business.
oh, for sure.
But they're going to run out of luck because as far as gamers goes, we only tolerate so much shit before we just stop buying from companies.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I already have. I've hit that point. You know what game was one of my favorite games? The Sims. You know what game I will never pay another penny for? The Sims. I will never
I just
pay
don't
another
mean
penny
that.
for that.
I just mean like in general too, though. Like think about how many companies. Oh, it's typically indie companies, but think about how many companies that were doing well have just disappeared. Right? What is Daybreak, right? Which was previously Sony Interactive, whatever. They've been 4 different companies. Okay,
Well,
they're the ones who
okay.
run EverQuest and a whole lot of other games. They're gone. They don't exist. They're done. That company is completely gone now.
Didn't what was the game called? It was a battle royale. Didn't it kill him?
Something. Well, H1. They also owned H1Z1 too.
Oh no, they did the Calling 2, didn't they?
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Calling 2 lasted literally 1 hour. Yeah,
I
that
say
was
whoever.
a shit show.
Their biggest titles are like EverQuest, H1Z1, stuff like that. But they're gone. They're done.
Yeah,
They
I
also
think
got
they
they
I
also
think they
got
had.
caught in some kind of like money wise with some Russian group. They
Oh
had
yeah,
heavy
yeah, I
Russian
think I heard about
yeah,
that.
they had heavy Russian investments. And they
Yeah, that's
were
a
under
scary
they were under
idea.
like heavy scrutiny stuff. So that cost them
I
too.
think I
And
think they were the company that had the Calling, I believe, right?
yeah, I believe that you're right about that.
And then they released the Calling 2, and the Calling 2 literally lasted 1 hour, and then it was dead.
Yeah, they basically what happened was one they kept getting passed around a lot by old titles, keep them open to try and get money off of them, but they weren't making enough. And then when they finally got investors, they got the wrong kind of investors. Not saying that all Russian investors are bad, but like
Right.
the ones that they chose, I guess, were. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been under heavy scrutinization for that. So
Yeah, you hear stories like that all the time. I think it was the Smash Z. Have you ever heard of that?
no, I've never heard that before.
It's supposed to be a handheld PC, kind of like my GPD.
Right. There's a lot of companies trying to release.
Except they had like it was either them or it was one of those Kickstarters. I'm pretty sure it was Smash Z. I could be wrong though.
I'm not entirely sure on it.
But it was completely run by the Russian mafia.
It figures.
Yeah. And so like the story behind it's pretty hilarious. I can't remember Smash Z. It might not be a Smash Z because something recently came out about Smash Z, so I could be wrong about that.
Right.
I'll have to bring it. I'll have to research it again and figure it out. But and I'll bring it next stream. But it's hilarious. Like the technical head of the Kickstarter or whatever is the daughter of like one of the heads of the Russian mafia who's done some really bad shit in his life. It's hilarious.
I want to say something else, but stepping back, like most of the Daybreak, a lot of Daybreak employees, I think like 70 have been hired by Ashes of Creation, which is not a bad thing, right? As long as they're strictly the employees that were like working on games.
I'm sure the employees had nothing to do with it.
I'm sure some did, but that's neither here nor there. We won't get into that. That's a little too political for my taste.
Yeah, let's keep too many politics out.
Yeah, but so as far as like pure talent goes, we know Daybreak has a talent. I mean, they made games like H1Z1.
Right.
And they helped. They further developed EverQuest 1, 2, 3. Ashes of Creation, they got a diverse thing, and that just added to it. So like in a way, Daybreak closing helped out on other companies, but it's also like just another example of how bad things are getting for game companies in general.
It's really not even a creative world anymore in game design.
Well,
It's like
game like Kickstarter, right? Kickstarter used to be amazing.
I mean, it still is in certain
Except for
cases.
it kind of isn't in the sense of like it's amazing because you can make a lot of money there quickly
Oh, for sure.
if you know how to talk.
Yeah.
Problem is so many people are afraid to even touch that website now because so many games are like, yeah, we're gonna do it. They make millions and then just
I remember which one it is. Okay, I don't remember the exact name of it, but you remember the meme where it had the guy kind of like talking, but it was all not his voice, and he was like in a real white room, and it was like some real professional thing, like if you buy our product, blah blah blah. Do you remember that meme?
yeah.
It was a Kickstarter meme. Yeah, that's where it's from. That's what I was talking about. Anyways, I'm sorry to.
No, yeah, it kind of plays into that too. Like that's another. That's
Yeah.
just a meme for, but that's for Kickstarter in general.
The whole joke behind that meme was that's how it was in the original Kickstarter. Like it was dubbed over for no reason.
Simply because you can't say that he actually said that. Then they'd be like, that's not actually saying it.
Or it was somehow stolen. I mean, it was the Russian mafia we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever, but like, that's why so many people are afraid of Ashes of Creation right now too. Intrepid Studios.
Well, I mean, I think my biggest issue with Ashes of Creation is it's going the same route as Star Citizen, and I've been hyped about Star Citizen since 2012.
What you mean, making all kinds of promises and not being able to actually follow through with them?
Yeah, exactly.
Every MMO company out there, by the way, just saying.
It was like 2018 when we finally got our single player, and I was like, still don't want to buy this game yet because it's I got to play it on a free weekend one time.
Yeah, no, I remember watching you playing that a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, it's fun. It's an awesome game.
The problem is, Star Citizen was always intended to be a MMO.
Oh yeah.
Whether we're not talking like fantasy style or anything like that, but specifically massively multiplayer. Like
it was supposed to be MMO simulation.
Right,
and I am 100% behind that.
Except for it's the ability.
It needs so much work.
Yeah, the ability to do that is just not a thing that exists. In the sense of nobody's done it before, is what I'm saying. Like they have nothing to go off of.
You're right. You're right. Like, Star Citizen both Star Citizen and Ashes are both very unique.
Right. Ashes of Creation uses like none of their systems by themselves are new.
You're right.
But the fact that they're all being put together is a very nodes.
Star Citizen is technically the same, but in a very different regard.
Okay,
Star Citizen's trying to do it at a completely different level.
That's why I'm saying like the difference between like Star Citizen, everything else, is just the sheer scale of the player.
Oh yeah. I mean, how are you supposed to make that game without hundreds of thousands of people playing at a single time?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like that game is going to heavily rely on player base. That's the problem with MMOs. You have to be able to make player base, and you can help make up with that with AI. There's nothing wrong with having AI in an MMO. They're very, very important. It just depends on how you do them, especially in games like Star Citizen and Ashes of Creation, where the economy, everything is player driven. Even the narrative, like the actual like the gameplay is determined by the players. If you don't level up one town or kill something here, it completely changes what's going to unlock on a server by server basis. AI can't have any control over that because then technically players don't have control over that, and then it breaks that whole player-driven economy narrative stuff.
Like AI, just at least gameplay AI. I don't even want to get into real AI.
Yeah, I'm talking specifically NPCs.
Gameplay AI isn't smart enough yet, or it's hard to make one smart enough at a sizable level, like having hundreds of NPCs that can kind of act like actual players.
I was say, like Tarkov does a good example of.
Oh, Tarkov does a good job, even though the AI is broken most of the time.
Yeah, the AI doesn't work perfect. You can still easily tell them apart from player. Not, I wouldn't say easily, but
most of the time,
if you're an experienced player in that game, you can tell them apart most of the time. The problem with that becomes pathing and the fact that they don't do certain things that humans do. They don't stop and loot bodies, right? They don't sit and lean around buildings. Like they don't act.
They actually can loot bodies, but it's not the same. Like it doesn't give you an animation.
They're not. Yeah, they're not actually looting the body. Okay, like players don't stand and loot bodies. The scavs stand over the bodies looking at them. That's their loot function.
Yeah, and then they'll pick up a gun or an armor or whatever.
They don't.
I mean, that's cool.
They're close. That's why if you're not an experienced player, you can definitely mistake them for players, for sure.
Yeah.
And they do act. They're one of the best game AI I've seen as far as like closeness to a human player. It's great having that. The only downside is once we do have NPCs that act, hard enough for us to tell apart from humans, in most instances, like you're still going to be able to tell them apart no matter what happens. The issue is in games that need that player interaction, right? Like actually creating Star Citizens, where you're trying to set up a trade or something like that, you're going to be typing in chat or using voice chat, and the NPC's not going to respond.
Right.
And then you're like, well, why is this person ignoring me or whatever? You're not. And then you're gonna be like, oh wait, it's an NPC. Well, this is you. Keep walking.
Yeah.
Unless it's one that's specifically designed for like trading.
Unfortunately, the free weekend they gave us for Star Citizen was extremely limited. It was like almost a demo rather than a free weekend. I was really restricted to a single system, and I didn't get the chance to travel long distances. I didn't get the chance to see what other ships were like, how they all reacted, be a part of a crew, which is probably the most important part of the game.
Well, that's the whole point of that game.
Yeah, so I never got to actually experience that point part of the game.
From what I've seen and heard of Star Citizens, and I haven't done that much research, and I don't follow the game, but like I've still heard and seen things, like you playing, other people talking about it, some game dev stuff. Like it. One thing is the flying in that game looks super difficult.
Oh, it was. It was so hard.
Their system looks like it really, really, really needs fine tuning. It looks like it's far from being
so the actual it is difficult, but in the right way, at least in my 10-hour experience. It was.
Well, yeah, there's still good. I have no problem with the game keeping a learning curve. Like it can be difficult as long as the curve isn't straight.
The biggest problem with flying was not the flying itself, but the UI. The UI is really bad and needs a lot of work.
In a game like that too, it should simply be like hitting buttons that are already in the ship's console.
So that's what you do. You actually press. Every button on that ship is pressable.
But I mean, okay, like one that's too much.
The problem is that I don't know what buttons do what.
Well, right. This is a debate I was having with Wit, and he doesn't think like tutorials, right? Wit thinks that most of the time tutorials are hindrances and are ineffective, and they're just stupid. Not all the time, but most of the time because they're too long. Or they don't really teach you. They just end up being a waste of time. And I agree with that. So, like, Star Citizens, they could do a brief tutorial. Super fast tutorial. First off, limit the number of buttons you're pushing. There's no reason that you need to be able to push every button.
I disagree when it comes to Star Citizen. I heavily disagree. I think that's the point of the game.
Yeah, but what function do most of those buttons have? I'm sure they all have functions, but, like, are some of them really necessary? Like, do they really need this button?
So there was the difference between like thrusters and after boost and actual boost. Like there's different ones, and you use them at different points in time because they act off of what's supposed to be simulating actual physics. So like if you would try to use like liquid fuel in space, it just wouldn't work. Since your ship has different fuels for different areas.
I can understand that.
And there were like 10 buttons for that.
I honestly feel like that could be simplified because I don't. You really wouldn't even in real life. You wouldn't have 10 different buttons for that. You would have it to where
Have you ever looked at a playing console?
yes, I have. They got a lot of buttons, but most of them don't that often.
That was the same with Star System. Like
Okay, the way you
that,
made it
that's
sound, I thought that you were using them
sorry,
all the
yeah,
time.
like you're not using them all the time. You're not constantly slamming buttons like you're in the middle of a PvP MMO. You're using like 4 or 5 buttons at a time. You're not slamming your keyboard. Oh my god, I did shit to my computer. Oops. Yeah, but you have so many things you can do, and so it has a very heavy learning curve because it tries to simulate what it would be like in like 100 years or 200 years or whatever it was in Star System.
Yeah, I get that
And
part. That one yeah,
from
I
what I
guess
understand, other ships are way different too and have different inputs and stuff, just like different planes would in real life.
yeah, I guess my thing was like I guess it was a little bit confusion on the way that you described it, but like
Sorry about that.
it if it's you're not really using most of them most of the time, like some of them are like, oh, I'm off the ground now, I'm no longer touching any of these buttons that are related to liquid fuel. That's just for getting off the planet.
Right.
Then that's fine. That's a whole that I'm okay with because then you'll learn what those buttons are and you just won't.
Right.
No, I guess that's fine. I was gonna say if you're using them all the time,
No.
constantly using them, then
There,
that's just too many fucking.
I think it took up most all of a full size keyboard, but not everything is used at the same time. That's would be ridiculous.
Yeah, but here's the thing is, I'd rather be able to actually look at them hit them. Like if
Oh,
you're
you
gonna,
can.
I'm gonna say if you're gonna have a full blown system that needs to be simulation, then just take the hotkeys away.
So the hotkeys are just there for advanced users. You don't have to use the hotkeys.
Yeah, but that kind of like their whole, like we were saying earlier, the whole point of them is
Well,
simulation.
I mean, the game
simulation
isn't exactly a VR. Like, think of how hard it would be to change multiple settings if you have to literally look at them and change them.
It'd be just as hard as it would be in real life. We're talking simulation. Simulation.
Well,
should
not
be as close
really.
to
I
real
mean,
life.
if you get good at using something, you could not look at it.
That's true. I get that.
So, I mean, that's kind of
Well,
part
then
of
maybe
it.
that should be a feature that's kind of like hidden behind something where it's like once you've used the ship 4 or 5 times, hockey.
See, I think that would just be unnecessary. It is still a video game, even
I know,
though it's simulatory.
See, that's the thing is like that's the issue. Like people are like simulation game, but it's a video game, so don't make it too simulation. It's like, want simulation or do you want video game? Like you
Yeah.
can't really have an in between because then it's not really simulation if you have a ton of video game features.
Like,
That's a personal opinion. Like that they can do whatever they want. I would still play the game either way.
So, like, as far as simulation goes, like as far as any other simulation game I play, Arma has a lot of game like features. Press I to open up your inventory. It comes up with a menu.
Yeah, there's certain things that you just can't overcome. That I agree with. There's
like hotkeys are so necessary, especially for video games.
No, I think that's really dependent on the person too. I really don't use hotkeys unless like it forces you down that path.
I always use hotkeys. Hotkeys
Like,
are my life.
MMOs, you don't have a choice. You have to use hotkeys. Can't
If
play.
I have a faster way of doing something, I'm doing it.
I don't. I just don't like hotkeys. I don't like the idea of them. That's why I don't really use macros. Like I play the game to play the game. I don't play it so that I can set up keys to do it.
I guess that's a different kind of like players.
Yeah, it's just a play style. That's why I said that's more. That's more of is that whole like having hotkeys, not having it. It's not really a debate we can have because it's more of just like the player style.
No, that's complete opinion. There's nothing I can be like.
Yeah,
hotkeys are objectively better.
Well, that's what I mean. Like it's just really depends on the player's preference. That's a preference thing.
Yeah.
Like I know that I'm not preferenced to that. Like I still use them. I don't say I don't. I obviously I do. And in some situations, I agree that they're definitely necessary. You need. And in some situations, I don't agree. There's just not really a need for them.
If you're playing an MMO, you better be using those hotkeys or you're getting fucked.
Well, yeah, you can't play an MMO.
No. Unless it's RuneScape, which you just click everywhere. There are still hotkeys, but they are unnecessary in that game.
Yeah, you don't really use hotkeys.
It doesn't really matter. Like, you have them, but they're unnecessary.
Especially now that it's on mobile and there isn't hotkeys.
Yeah, I mean, it works perfectly with mobile. It's a wonderful game on mobile, actually.
It was 100%.
Everything about it. It just started about 18 years too early.
It started too early for mobile, but like everything about RuneScape is perfect for mobile. And it's been successful there. It died off on PC. Like, people are gonna hate me for this, but the game died on PC. To be honest.
The mainline RuneScape, which is RuneScape 3 at this point, is not very good, at least in my opinion.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I really prefer RuneScape, old school or classic.
Which is what mobile is. Mobile RuneScape is classic.
There's still RuneScape 3 on there.
There's some stuff on there. They've slowly updated the system to have that stuff, but most of the systems work like classic.
I think both normal RuneScape and classic RuneScape, or sorry, not classic, old school. Classic and old school are different.
Yeah, I think there's only one of them on mobile. The other one's still PC.
You know what? I'm just gonna look it up right now.
I'm pretty positive. Yeah, look it up because I don't know. I don't play RuneScape, so I don't know. I know some people who are playing it, and they said that it's just like when they played old classic, whatever.
Let's see. The first thing that shows up is old school RuneScape. Let's click on Jagex. RuneScape and old school RuneScape, they're both on here. Normal RuneScape is on early access still.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
No, I can't even actually install it. Normal RuneScape, anyways.
No, it's effective to start.
It's early access program is currently full.
That's why I said I think you had to request that you. Like, I could play Trial Rising right now.
I could download it off of like Apatoad or whatever and get it that way, but I just don't care. Like, I prefer old school RuneScape. It is just the right amount of complication and ease of use for a mobile MMO.
Yeah.
Where normal RuneScape has went way too far into WoW territory. I'm not that interested in it. Like, there's a whole new fighting system in it that requires several button inputs, and that just doesn't work with RuneScape. It's not meant to be that. RuneScape was always meant to be a point-click game.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan of World of Warcraft. I've played it for a long time.
I mean, I've played WoW. I've had subscriptions before. I've had several accounts. I've
been playing WoW off and on.
I know you've played more than me.
8 years.
Right.
And the first 3 years I played all the time, like daily. Probably for 4 years, and then I backed off. The last 4 years I've hardly played, but I still play off and on. Every time an expansion comes out, I get on. I play it for a little.
You were trying to play again, like get serious again, when we were trying to make the Thonir server.
Yeah, because I've had a huge itch for MMOs. The problem is everything out right now just doesn't really do it for me. I can't get into World of Warcraft anymore. I had it for a bit. I was there. I loved it. Just something, I don't know. Just something I don't like. I don't really care for the art style, let alone tab target. I'm not a huge tab target fan. I'm a heavy action combat guy.
If I can get Worm for less than $10, I'll gift that to you. It's a little different. It's like a survival MMO.
Yeah, I've seen Worm stuff.
Like, I like the fact that you can just make your own server whenever you want.
Well, that's the thing is like that's why I said
your own roles.
I'm not a fan of tab target, which is why I've been trying to play action combat games. The problem is all the action combat MMOs out right now are all Korean imports. They have their perks. You know, they look beautiful. They got amazingly in-depth character customization, but they're not MMOs. They are
Yeah.
heavily overblown single player games.
Yep.
Don't talk to people in that to play it.
Yep.
Like,
Well, I mean,
like
if you
Black Desert Online, okay? The only time I've actually interacted with another player is whenever me and you were playing together, or when me and Caden played together. That's it.
yeah, it was we played what 3 hours together.
Yes, and that was me power leveling you, fucking zones that were 30 levels above you.
Yeah, and it still wasn't that big of an issue.
No, but that's why I'm not a fan of Black Desert. It's a great game. I am not hating on it. I just don't like the
great combat mechanics. It
Yeah.
has great movement mechanics.
Yeah.
It has a
I
beautiful
was gonna
world.
say everything about that game
but
is
it's boring.
phenomenal, except for the fact that
It's
you
boring
don't play
as
with other
fuck.
yeah, you don't play with other people. And at level 56 you awaken and your skill set changes.
Yeah, I'm really glad I never hit level 56 because I would kind of
Yeah, you're I don't know that I don't think every skill changes, but enough change that you have to kind of adjust because you don't know the complete layout
I
of your
watched a
character
little
anymore.
bit on it. So like your base your base skills are the same, but like most of the other stuff changes. Your the skill points you've put evolve or whatever. Your attack points evolve. You kind of get stronger, quote unquote, but it changes the way the game's played.
That's what I mean. Like you've gotten used to a character
I'm not
being
down
one
for that.
way, and then at
I'm
level
not down.
56 it changes the way you play the game, and it's like, okay, so what was the point of the first 50?
Right, like it's sad because I really want to play through that game, but at the same time I have
Yeah,
no interest.
honestly, I don't really care for the story.
The story, what story? I just skipped through it all.
No, there is a story. It's actually it's all right. It's what you'd expect from an MMO. They get very diluted the further in you go because there's so much
Right.
information coming in that you get. But it's pretty good story, but it's also not anything.
Like I still am waiting for an MMO that properly does a story that has hundreds of people in it.
The problem with it is to have an amazing story. The story basically has to be story of the servers. It basically has got to be the story of the people playing the game.
I think that like I agree that that's probably the best way. I don't think
Like
that's the
World of
only
Warcraft's
way.
actually got a good story.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's also really goofy and
Yeah, but that's what makes it
99% of the time it's kind of dumb and it makes you laugh.
That's why it makes it so good though.
Yeah,
Because
like
the story feels more convincing. You know what I mean? It's more convincing of a story than most MMOs. That's why like Ashes of Creation, I'm looking so much for because there's a story, there is lore, but the lore is for before you come back. Because remember in that game, the world had some kind of catastrophic thing happen and everybody left. Like people, not everybody, but a lot of people were able to get out. This is all of us coming back thousands of years later. So there's no story there for us to do. No, there's not like, oh, can you go save my family from these bandits attacking me? Because there is no bandits. There is, but they all came back with us. So,
right.
if your family's already been captured by bandits, because the first day of launch is literally us coming back. There's no way your family's been caught by bandits on the first day that everybody came back. And if they did, you've got other issues. So those kind of like dumbass quests really aren't going to exist. I'm sure eventually they will. But the thing is the story is going to be whatever the players make of it. The story you're going to hear isn't going to be, 50 people attack or stormed this castle and, the cutscene of them doing it. It's going to be 100 players attacked the castle and these 100 players defended it. Like, it's going to be real story. It's going to be a real story. I think that's going to be good because that's the way the lore goes is based on the.
I mean, I guess in hindsight, as long as you don't do what Fallout 76 did, you're probably all right.
Yeah, don't make that mistake.
Yeah, that was
there's still a fine line to player-driven story.
Yeah, especially Fallout, which is very traditionally
Fallout can't
only
be
about one person.
Yeah, Fallout can't be player-driven. Well, it can be. You can give us options to choose that affect the story that you get. I like games like that.
Yeah,
I like those interactive
Fallout
stories. But
has always had deep choices. Even the first game. In the first game, you have three ways to defeat the main boss. You can bring him information that shows him that everything he's done is literally wrong and that he has fucked up the world and he commits suicide. You can fight him to the death. Or you can bring a stalemate and he just stops and goes somewhere else.
Yeah, I like games like that. Definitely give you a lot more freedom. But you're still forced down a path. It's better than just a straight up. This is what you're doing. Happens.
Right.
Doesn't
Well,
matter
I
how
mean,
you play. This happen.
I mean, I don't mind.
I don't mind
the
any
story.
of them. I don't mind any of those formats because the story is still good. Right? If I'm playing a single player game,
Right.
I'm playing for the. I don't play single player games very often. I play games to play with other people. So I have my preference of it be player driven, and then I'm
Certainly.
okay with selections. My least favorite is the force down a route, but it's still fun if the story is good. It's very hard to make a story good when your player is on a route because we don't feel as connected with.
Idilts. I think I said that right.
I'm pretty sure it's Eldilt.
Thanks for
78.
follow. We
It's
appreciate
Eldilt.
that. Eldilts? Is it an L?
Yeah, it's an L.
Oh well, thanks for the follow.
But I don't know. That's just my theory. I'm sure that I could easily or not even maybe proven have their own opinion. I just feel like
so when I go for a story, it doesn't matter if it's single player, multiplayer, whatever. What I want is something that, as a player, I want to be part of it.
Yeah, you want to feel like connect.
I don't necessarily need to be the main character.
Yeah, which is completely understandable.
And that's what I think a lot of MMOs make serious problems with.
Yeah, they
make everyone the main character.
Yeah, which doesn't work. That's why Ashes of Creation I like, because it's player driven. It's not going to be like you're the good guy, you beat this person, you're a hero, so is every other player in the game. Like the bad guys are going to be players, the good guys are going to be players, the neutrals are going to be players. Like everybody has developed their own role, and you might not be a big part of the story, but in some way or another, you've affected the way the game is developed and the story that is there.
So I don't. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I'm from dogging me that I'm not really the biggest fan of Sword Art Online. I enjoy the premise, but the story just turns me off.
Yeah, the story's a bit hard
and an incredibly unbalanced MMO like that game would be, at least
heavily number-based game.
That I think that would work really well as an MMO as long as it changed all the time. Like every season, the story would change, the game would change a little bit.
If you actually think about it, technically Sword Art doesn't have a story.
Right.
The actual game itself, there is no story.
Right.
Which is great because you make up your own.
You would have a story, and you would obviously know who the main character is because they would be the number one player.
Right. Which is
essentially
and they would be always, the way Ashes of Creation is going.
Yeah. They would always be the one to go for. They would always be the one to try to beat.
Yeah. No, that's why I think I'm intrigued with Ashes of Creation. Like I said, their systems aren't anything new. I like the combination of a lot of them together. You know, corruption, or PvP. You know, most of the world is PvP based. Nodes that are towns that actually build up by doing quests, leveling. They're not just there. All that stuff. Like I like all of that stuff together, but they're not what intrigues me most. What intrigues me the most is how everything is based on the player's decision. A dungeon won't open if you don't build up this town. You still get dungeons, but you don't get that dungeon. Or another server does. You don't, this node might be better at level 5, but because you've leveled this one up to 5, that one can't be 5, and now you lose the benefits of that one.
True.
Like stuff like that. The economy, I have an issue with player-driven economies in the sense of when the player base dies off, it really fucks the. But that's neither here nor there. That's an issue that they'll overcome when that. So,
I do I do see your chat.
Oh,
Yes,
she's
it's a
talking
little bit
about
behind.
she doesn't actually see us. Yeah, we're not using webcams.
Yeah, I can turn my webcam on actually.
I
Yeah, Travis can't. Sorry, Travis.
I mean I could turn it on my or my Twitch, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna try and
yeah,
keep most of the viewers coming here for you.
yeah. Well, it's more of a podcast really than a anything else.
Yeah. By the way,
I
that's my mom.
I didn't hear anything.
That's my mom.
That's your mom?
Yeah, I figured it out.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh.
because the Delt's part's my last name.
Hi, Travis's mom.
But yeah, that's why you can't see us. But yeah, I don't know. I think Ashes of Creation is gonna be interesting in the sense of it really follows that actual appeal that Sword Art has.
I mean, yes, in a certain way. I think
As
the
long as they
biggest
do it in the
appeal
right
of
way.
I think the biggest appeal of Sword Art is other than
If you die in the
obviously
game, you die in real life.
yeah, other than obviously that is
But
that
that's what makes the anime appealing.
the
not
fact
the game
that
itself.
that they're constantly making progression
Yeah.
by going up before.
I say I'm talking about in specifics to the game, right? Not the show, not the anime, but the game.
Well, I mean, you could say that going up before is part of the game.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
no,
it really
fully the progressing from floor to floor is part of the game. The dying in the game and dying in real life, I think that's the appeal of the anime, not the show, or not the game. I mean, progressing through the floors. That's why the MMO that me and Wood are working. You know, we're taking our time doing it. It's slow.
right.
We don't have a lot of determination. We want to make it though. We have a floor-based system.
Yeah.
We have our towns. We're doing a kind of a because I'm the one brainstorming this, and he's kind of helping me with it. Like, take Sword Art, Danmachi, put them together, right? And that's the primary basis of what we're doing. Floor-based, dungeon. Most of the gameplay takes part in the town around it, like the story of Danmachi does, or Familiar
Right.
Myth, whatever you want to call it. If they're not in the dungeon, that's where it's at. You're not going to be out exploring a open world. But you're going to be in the dungeon exploring. You can still explore the outside world. There's still stuff to do. We're on an island. You're gonna be able to have player bases and mine
we're
resources.
always good. Your mom.
Yeah, I seen. But yeah, you're gonna have player bases. You're gonna mine resources and stuff like that. Like, it depends on how you want to play too. Like, it's definitely a community game, and so is Sword Art. Heavily community based. Crafters matter in Sword Art, right? Crafters are gonna matter in our game. Crafters matter in Ashes of Creation. That's a big problem with MMOs. They have crafting systems, but they don't mean anything. They don't matter.
What was that game? Towns and Heroes, wasn't it? Was that the game?
Towns and Heroes. Was that what we were playing together?
Yeah, that game's crafting. Why did I even bother? Like, there was no point to it. When I originally got the game, I was thinking this is going to be like an amalgamation of RuneScape and World of Warcraft, and it sort of was, but at the same time, the RuneScape elements were meaningless.
Yeah, I honestly don't think that's the issue with most of them. I think just farm the gear from drops. That powerful gear. That's what I refuse. I refuse to do that with our game. I do not want dropped gear to be the primary gear that you use. It can be helpful.
So
if you can't afford crafted gear, right? Because the deeper floors you go, the better the gear will be. So deeper floor dropped gear will be better than higher gear or high or lower floors crafted gear. That's how it should be. If you're on floor 50 of the dungeon, your gear should be better than the gear that you got crafted on floor 40 or floor 35, something like that. Like, it should definitely be better.
So,
but if you're on floor 40, I don't want the dropped gear to be more powerful than the gear you can craft on floor, because then it just makes crafting pointless. There's no.
So, well, you already hit one point that I was going to say, so I don't need to say that. But there's a few other ways to mitigate ruining lootability, because looting is fun. Everyone likes to loot.
Oh, I'm not taking loot.
So like, let me finish here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And then you'll understand where I'm getting at. So, like, having gear have a certain amount of, we'll say like, what
Value?
no, having it degrade over time or
Okay, so you're talking about
how much
durability.
damage.
You're talking about
So
durability.
like durability, that can negate that a lot. Especially with like looting item, like any item that you have looted, whether it's better than what you have or worse, having looted items have a specific amount of durability would certainly help out because crafted items can be good or better than looted items, and they have a much better durability. Like no matter what, by default, they always have better durability. So there's an incentive behind crafted items.
Yeah, I think it's really just gonna come down to as we play what we decide. I'm for crafting being the better, more powerful version. Because if people are gonna take the time to do it, then it should be worth it. In every sense of the way, it should be worth
Absolutely.
it. Looting, I don't want to take looting away. That's part of an MMO. Kill monsters, loot items will be not items that they like kind of like how they do in Damachi. It drops like a gem, you can turn it in, similar to that, value wise, as well as crafting materials, right? Leather,
Of course, yeah.
fur, stuff like that.
You want to get crafting materials through
Gear
looting.
that drops, gear will drop from high level like mini bosses or raid bosses, floor bosses. That's where gear will drop. So they will be powerful because they're dropping from powerful monsters. But you can make them better by crafting. I'm not saying you're gonna drop a crafting recipe. It will drop gear that'll be decent, but you could further progress it by taking it to a crafter, and they can refine the gear, making it stronger. They could augment the gear, like something like that. That way, dropped gear is still important. You know, it's still powerful, but you can make it better by going to a crafter. That way, even in endgame, the crafter is still important because you could have endgame gear,
Of course.
but somebody who's a crafter or has a good crafter, they could be potentially more powerful than you if all of their gear has been refined and augmented by a crafter, which I think keeps crafters relevant through the entire game, as well as you know players going into the dungeon. Still has that farming aspect, but you don't have to spend your entire time farming either because you can still buy gear from crafters that's still strong.
So yeah, that would definitely boost crafting in communities. Because yeah, I mean, if you have a crafter that can just straight up craft anything, he's going to be somebody you want.
Well, here's the
with
thing
you
too: it
at all
doesn't have to be
times.
strictly limited to communities either, because you could go to any crafter, right? And they could refine it for you for just pure gold. And crafters will. They'll be the ones that are dedicated to strictly their communities. They won't do anything for anybody outside of their community. But there's people who will also just be like, I can make gold or whatever we currency it, but the equivalent being gold by just refining gear for people who are on like the first 5 levels of the dungeon, because that's going to be important. There's going to be people there because again, our dungeon game is slow progression. There's leveling, but there's not leveling. Where I want to do it like Danmachi does, where your skills level up by doing things, and then once your skills hit a certain level, like so many points, then you progress into the next actual levels. Go from level 1 to level 2. So level doesn't mean nearly as much, because you could have a level 2 who's got super high strength, stamina, or you could have a level 2 who's got super high intelligence and dexterity, and they're going to be two completely different things. And a level 1 could still compete with that if his numbers are higher, or still high, but he might not be like a level 2, but his numbers could still be high, like high dex or something like that. He could be all across the board a higher number, which would still make him super powerful.
Okay, yeah, I get that. Sorry, I was typing.
No, you're all good. I heard you typing. That's why I was trying to like keep that statement.
Is it really loud? I can't really tell.
It's not too loud, but it's definitely noticeable.
Okay. So I don't know if you're looking at my stream or not, but the mic is in a different location.
Yeah, I see
used to
it.
have it on.
I see
used to have it
it.
on what my camera's on right now, and so it's all the. Oh God, you can't see shit. Let me turn these off.
I don't know if you're. I don't know if you're watching my stream either.
I'm actually on Sam's stream. I just turned yours off.
But you can see where my mic is. It's like right under.
So, yeah, I know where your mic's at though. So, it's right here.
Yeah, I seen it before. And I could easily.
Yeah, I turned it on to. Oh, I gotta turn them back on. Let's see, what color is better? Purple? Red?
I don't know. Your screen is behind for me.
Green? Green don't look that bad. Kind of not very happy with it, my eyes.
Yeah, I think red looked the best.
Did it? Okay.
Hey, Brandon. Yeah, I don't know. I think that the MMO kind of be like it's gonna mainly be preferences anyway. Will be preferences. For as far as me
like
go.
I mean, as far as I guess, like anything that has like a levels, you know, a dungeon, a multi-tier dungeon system that's integral. I absolutely love.
Yeah, the thing is, it's gonna end up. Okay, I want to use this lightly. I don't want to give the wrong impression, right? So, it'll be the dungeon, essentially like a hack and slash style in the sense like clear a floor, you fully clear a floor, you can go to the next one, so on and so forth. But it's not a hack and slash because one, the controls are going to be different,
of course,
play differently. Yeah. 3, once somebody's cleared that floor, you could just run through it to the next floor. Like it's not a per player unlock. It's a per server unlock. Once it's clear on the server, you could run through it to the next floor if the next floor is unlocked. You're not going to get anywhere.
Will there be like every dungeon, will there be a save point where you can go to each level?
Okay, so
in the dungeon?
You know how in Damachi they have like floor 18, like for the first 18 floors, there's nothing. 18, you have a safe zone.
Right.
I'm thinking of doing it something similar to that. Every so many floors, like random number, there be a safe zone. I don't want it to be like every 2 or every 4, 5. Like I want it to be a decent enough number where, you know, it's risky. You're not gonna go from floor 1 to 10 in one day. First off, like just the way that the game levels you, the way you progress strength-wise in the game, clearing the first 10 floors in one day is just not gonna be possible.
Right.
Because you'll become substantially stronger in one day than you were at the beginning, and it's the same for every day. You'll get stronger and stronger and stronger, but you don't progress.
Turn my webcam off.
You don't actually progress that fast.
I think my icon looks better.
But yeah, in the grand scheme, so being able to having the save zones further apart, you know, makes it riskier for each person. So group play is going to be important too. Once you're a certain strength level, you could clear the first. You could just farm the first 5 levels every day, not even lose health. You know, it's a thing that'll happen, unavoidable. But you know, you get to the lower floors more tuned for the level of players who should be. It's going to be harder. You could possibly need at least 1. Probably 2 people you'd be comfortable with. The further down you go, the bigger the group sizes will be recommended. You can still solo it. I don't want to limit people's ability to be able to play solo.
Like,
because I know like, some days I just want to jump on and farm by myself in MMO. Just run around, collect things, kill things.
So like, urge. you know how like I have the problem with, we both have the same problem with BDO,
Right,
where
which is
it's
strictly single
why
player. There's no
why
incentive to play together.
yeah. So that same reason is why a big reason why I like RuneScape. I have because of the RuneScape's simplicity. It doesn't matter if I play with anybody else. I can just get on, play with whatever. It doesn't work with that style of game. BDO is a relatively complex game. I mean, you have button combinations out the asshole. Oh my god, that game has button
Oh
combinations.
yeah, the way the combos in that game works.
And it has a really complex world with the story or whatever, I guess. Not that I even bothered with it. But I didn't have any incentive to play with anybody in a complex game, you know? It didn't make any sense. Where it makes perfect sense with RuneScape because it's supposed to be ease of use. You don't even need to have other players, you know? And
Right.
so like those are little things, but they matter in the grand scheme.
Well, that's why
Because we
like
would
whenever I'm talking about my game, when I say solo, right, I'm not talking about playing with your friends. You know, you all just reach level 40, playing with them, they get off, and you keep going.
interacting in general
Yeah,
is what I'm referring
yeah.
to.
Like I said before with the crafting system, it's gonna make interaction important. You're gonna see other players in the dungeon, right? Anybody can go in there and kill stuff at any time. Like you're not gonna just be in there walking around by yourself. And people, you know, if you see somebody having a hard time, you might give them a hand because it's the same things blocking your path.
Right. Well, you see, because of the over openness of BDO, it became like
It's too easy to
meaningless.
avoid stuff.
Yeah, like I'm just
Part of the
gonna
reason
run
why
around it.
now above ground, right, in our game, when you're not in the dungeon, it's technically an open world.
Like
The city will probably so the dungeon
I
will be its
fully
own
agree with
instances.
open world MMOs. What I don't agree with is the open world being so unnecessarily open that it ruins gameplay.
Okay,
Like
so
most, it has the same problem as most open world games. I mean,
our above ground, right? We'll call it the I don't even know what to call it, but the above ground world is open world. The city is where the main hub, right? The dungeons is going to be in the middle of the city, going down or up, whatever we decide to do.
so
That's the city. There's a city around it or a town, whatever. I haven't decided the scale of the place surrounding it. That's
right,
where there's going to be player housing, there's going to be player stores, there's going to be NPC housing, NPC stores, like your typical hub in an MMO town hub. The thing is the area around that, because we're on an island, it's limited. There's going to be wilderness, but not wilderness where hostile AI spawns mobs. Okay, it's going to be for tree farming. You know, some resources will be up top. You can farm like pigs for sheep for armor, things like that. Simple
right,
ways that crafters can be up top farming, doing stuff. There'll be buildings for sale that players can buy for their own, like, workshops if they can't afford to be in the city. They want a secluded place, or for guilds to have a guild hall or something like that. They can't afford to be in the city. The top world is still open world, but it's an open world in a different sense where it's not specifically intended combating things. It's more for the gathering of simple, doing your crafting or having your, guild meetings, stuff like that. Where player interaction will still be important because people are still going to want to buy the food. They're going to sell their resources to the crafter, or the crafter's going to buy resources, things like that. There's still incentive for player interaction on the top, but by also limiting the hostile mobs up top, people who are fighting in the dungeons, right? The dungeons are going to be cramped. Sense of like, if there's a big boss mob in front of you, you're not going to run around it while somebody else is fighting it. I mean, you could if somebody's doing a good job of holding aggro.
right.
In the sense of like, it's not going to be so wide open where you can just walk outside of the ability for it to aggro you. Just go completely around. They don't even notice you're there. Like, that's not possible. Not going to happen. I want the dungeon to feel tight and, like you're in a dungeon.
Yeah, so like um so I know you're not a um um
They said they can hear Sam's scream.
Diablo. Huh? Really?
Yeah, you need to.
Oh shit. Oops. Well,
Oh,
it's already been muted. It should have been relatively quiet, but it's okay. It's okay, Kyle. I'm promoting Sammy. I was gonna say that. But I don't know, you're not like a big Diablo player or anything, but Diablo did dungeon, right? At least the original, where dungeons are freaking hard.
which is what they're supposed to be. That's why it's a slow progression with level, the way you level and stuff.
You go into dungeon. Well, of course, in the original one, there was only one dungeon, but it just continuously got harder and harder and harder. And
Well, I guess that's technically the same with
so,
the way ours works too, because there's only one dungeon. But the further down in the dungeon you go, the harder and harder it.
yeah, and that's the right way to do it. Or at least I think dungeon style is, oof, man. Like
That's my preferred
I
style, because you're not running around a massive open world like with like
to
a
go
chicken
to
with its head
multiple
cut off.
locations.
Yeah, just to beat something
Yeah,
that you're gonna do the dungeon one or two times, and then you're just gonna forget about it.
yeah,
Because even in our game, even though you're a high level, you're still gonna go through the starting zone, because to get out you got to come back up. Unless you die and you spawn at the top. But I'm sure there'll be some kind of penalty for dying, some sense. That way people don't just take the easy way out and get themselves killed, spawn back up top.
right.
But and then to get back down to where you were, you've got to go back through whatever you did to get there. It's not like you just fast travel down to the floor that you were. So, and things like that are important too. Like I despise fast travel because it completely just negates all of the work you've done on the world.
So I despise open fast travel where it's just like you've been to this location, you can come back whenever, and um, it doesn't really make sense. I like fast travel um that is like set positions. Let's say you make it to one city that's really far away in a game, and you have to I don't know, like let's say if Skyrim had you could only use the carriages, which no one used, of course, because obviously fast travel, but only the carriages are the only things you can use. That'd be awesome. It would make the world feel actually large.
Yeah, okay. So when I say fast travel, I mean like you said, I'm here and now I'm on the other side of the world. I just ignored everything I've done.
Yeah.
There's the once you've gone from one side to the other, that's it. You're never gonna do it again. You're never gonna walk to the other side. So everything in between those two doesn't matter anymore.
I'm not entirely opposed of automatic travel either, as long as it's done properly.
I don't mind pathfinding, which is what you're talking
like yeah,
about. Auto
yeah.
pathfinding.
Like,
I don't mind
I
that.
get on a horse or I get on a carriage, it'll just take me there, and I just have to wait or whatever. I don't mind that because it gives me a chance, especially like an MMO where I'm like constantly doing shit. It gives me a chance to stand up, take a pee, eat something.
I don't mind that so much, but the thing is that won't work in our game because of the dungeon thing. Once you go back in, you have to run past other mobs if you don't want to fight them to get back to where you were. You've got to run past them. Auto pathfinding, that's just not a thing that's.
I don't think it's entirely unnecessary to have a faster way for people who have already passed a certain
the thing is
point.
Is
not necessarily fast travel.
The thing is you will get faster at going to the dungeon anyway. When you level up, if you increase your agility, you run faster. So a benefit of being further down in the dungeons is that you're faster.
Oh my, we're going Morrowind levels here. Oof.
I mean, they're not going to become outrageous. The effect of your agility going up
No.
is
So
gonna be
like
minor, but you know what I mean.
Morrowind was a broken game. It's okay. In Morrowind, you could so if you had a, let's say, intelligence potion, you could stack intelligence potions, and then your intelligence would be like 10,000, and you could just make more potions with an intelligence of 10,000, and then your potions would be just outrageous, and you could have millions and millions of points on a single skill. Let's say agility, and you could run from one point of the game to another in seconds. It was honestly hilarious.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, it's not gonna be. The number's obviously gonna be fixed to a point where it's like, if you're 200 points above somebody in agility, you're gonna be a little bit. You're
So
not gonna notice it too much, but
what they did with later games, well, at least Oblivion, was they made it so if you were above a set number, I think Oblivion was absolute maximum was 150. I'm not entirely sure, but if you went beyond that, it would just reset to you to 100, no matter what. It actually also worked the other way around. If you went below it, you would reset to 100. So that was a thing.
yeah, but that was more like, it sounds like more like a bug than.
So what it was is the way they coded it. Essentially, the game didn't know what to do, so they added in a little code to set it to 100 because it was the safest option. Because you'd probably be over it rather than under it, but you could break it.
Yeah.
And Bethesda games are not known for
Lawlessness.
yeah. Well, you know what? Part of it is
Yeah,
charming.
I was gonna say part of the fun of playing Bethesda games though is the glitchiness of them.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Skyrim was probably the least glitchiest game they've ever made, and it was a broken mess. So
Yeah, horses plummeting out of the sky, hitting the ground, and then just flying off out of nowhere.
or just climbing a mountain.
Well, that's the horse meta, man.
Yeah, horse
Horses
meta.
should be like that in every
I'm
game.
actually extremely interested to see how horses will work out in Skyrim together.
It's available, by the way. Open beta's out.
Is it okay? I'm gonna have to grab
Yeah,
that. I don't have it installed right now.
the Yoxcast was playing.
So is it Skyrim or Skyrim Special Edition? Doesn't matter to me. I mean, I have both, but it just
It seems super stable.
well, I'm really hoping so.
The only problem is
Eight player max.
well, that, and it's not actually a parties.
I do believe they said that the party system was coming after the beta.
Nor does one person quest come.
You know what? I'm actually completely fine with that. I don't give a shit. You can just
See,
you just go to the quest giver and do it both at the same time.
the thing with me about that though is I'm not okay with because of the way that Skyrim is.
Like, I understand, and is a beta. They have things to finish. I know that they have it partially finished because I have seen them stream it before.
Yeah, but the
It was a
thing
little bit broken at the
isn't there
time.
certain AI that you kill that don't ever respawn again? So if
So
you have a quest to kill the AI that doesn't spawn, then once one person kills it, it doesn't come back.
yes, but if so, as long as someone like me who knows the commands in the game, I can just revive the person and you
Right,
could kill
but
them.
we're just go based on the assumption that
So yes, you wouldn't get that, but Skyrim does not give XP, therefore it would not actually affect your character. It would just affect your standing in the world to a certain degree.
yeah, but that's
Because mainly I want it for mods, like playing mods with other people. Holy crap!
oh, I can only imagine the unstable.
Well, it does have mod support, so
Well, yeah, Skyrim Together is I was watching Alex guys play it. Granted, they're all in the same building, so it's not a real fair example. But even with them in the same building, I couldn't tell the mod they were playing.
Oh yeah, I mean, remember that time we all wanted that Elder Scrolls MMO? Oh, it's finally here. Well, I guess technically not finally, but
I mean, it was here. It's shit.
I don't want to say it's shit. It's just it wasn't Elder Scrolls, you know.
And it is Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
So like I didn't even have to be Skyrim. It could have been an actual evolution of that gameplay style, but it wasn't. It was a
It is now.
de-evolution.
Definitely better now.
I still don't think it's what it should be.
Almost everybody who plays it now says that it's one of the best MMOs they've ever. The game where it's at now. The only thing that sucks about it is that every time you buy a DLC, you're paying a brand new. Price wise.
Oh yeah, I'm not buying the Somerset DLC.
There's more than just that one though.
I have the Morrowind one.
Yeah, that's what I mean though. Is like it's just
the Cyrodiil one is free, thankfully.
Yeah,
seeing as that
that's
was
once they added what is it, Tamriel or something like that.
Tamriel Unlimited.
Yeah, once they added that, that's.
So I've played with it. I still didn't find it as tight as a Elder Scrolls game usually is.
Well, you gotta remember though, right? There's going to be things that are different from single player Elder Scrolls to a MMO. There's just fundamentally there's going to be differences that they cannot overcome. Make them feel.
So my biggest problem was with one of them that shouldn't have been. That doesn't have to be that different, and that was mainly the way you moved and the way you.
Yeah, the movement system should have been exactly the same. I can't think of a reason why that
shouldn't have been changed. It feels almost like you're a bubble and you're kind of just rolling along the world like a normal MMO would feel. And I didn't like that. That's not what I came there for. I came there to feel like I'm inside this person's head and I'm the one doing everything, you know? And it didn't feel like that.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. There's certain issues with the way the game felt as a player that didn't need to be changed just because it was an MMO.
I mean, I completely understand that that's probably not easy to get, but I think that it was one of the things that had to happen, and it just isn't. So I'm just not gonna deal with it.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one. That was one of those things.
It's just part of what makes.
They missed their mark on that. That was the beginning of the fall for.
Well, I would argue that it was way earlier than that.
Yeah, but like the ESO was a huge.
I would argue that it started with Oblivion. Actually, you know what? I'll argue it started with Morrowind, and I love.
The thing is they seriously rebounded with Skyrim. Like Skyrim was a huge rebound for them.
Like, don't get me wrong. I love Oblivion. It is a completely broken game. That game has some really bad systems in it. When they went from the style of level, like world design of, where in Morrowind it's a leveled world, I'm sorry, it's an unleveled world. So everything is at always the same level as it spawned, right? So if you walk into a dungeon that has really high levels in it, like level creatures or NPCs, you're fucked. And early on in the game, level 1 is really hard because that game had RNG weapon attacks. So you can swing and not hit something even though you're right in front of it, which was annoying. and it can also get you put in some really bad situations.
Sounds like Tap Target, which is why I hate Tap Target.
So, like, it's only like that for a very few levels. As it goes, your RNG goes up with
RNG
level.
The bane of every MMO player's existence.
Oh no! I'm like,
and the worst system in existence.
This is absolutely probably the worst part of it, but it eventually goes away.
Oh no, I get that. I'm just making a joke. Like RNG,
like
the bane of every gamer's existence.
That was changing from that was a very good choice, but the way it worked with the world and the technology at the time was absolutely perfect because you always knew when you got better, when you got stronger in game.
Yeah.
And then there's other ways to do that, and they did it right with Skyrim. You always know when you're stronger in Skyrim because you constantly get stronger in Skyrim.
Yeah.
But they did it very wrong in Oblivion. You can go like 10 levels and not really see a difference.
Right.
And that was mainly because they stuck with the old style of you sleep, you level up, and then every 25 levels of a skill, you gain your perk. Well, the problem with that in a game that doesn't have that RNG is it doesn't really matter because it can take a relatively long time to level up. Because you'll kill someone really fast. Where in Morrowind, a single fight standing there low level can last like 2 or 3 minutes. You're just standing one spot swinging, but you gained more levels by doing that because you were there doing it more often.
Yeah.
So it kind of broke Oblivion. And of course, Skyrim was a really well designed game. I've gotten bored of the generic non-modded version of it at this point, but it's still a perfectly designed game.
Yeah,
it really is.
That's one thing that's going to be a little concerning about our MMO is like the ability to stand there and do something. Because if you wanted to, because you can get strength by knocking a tree down, and your stamina will go up too as you do it. Because the longer you do it, the higher your stamina will get. You could stand there and hit a tree for 10 hours and just purely level stamina and strength doing it that way.
The best way, so like I know Valve doesn't really make games anymore, but their philosophy on making games was always the best. And that was always test your game. Always. Every single micro change you make, test it, make sure it works. That way, if you make something that doesn't work, you can immediately fix it.
The thing is there's no real way around that. If we do diminishing returns, then killing mobs would also have a diminishing point of the game.
At the same time, everything that both of us are saying is it's just theory. Because you could be like, yeah, this is the way it has to be, and then no matter what we do to try to test it, it could not work. Just generally not work.
Well, that's why I'm saying, like in general, like most people aren't gonna stand there and hit a tree.
Oh fuck! I mean, you might get some RuneScape players.
But the thing too is it's not like in that 10 hours your numbers have gone up that far because you've been hitting the same tree for 10 hours, not fighting something stronger, making you level up faster, or mining higher end resources, give more.
I spent hundreds of hours hitting trees in RuneScape.
Right, but that's the whole point of RuneScape. You do the one thing and it.
Yeah, I mean it's basic as it gets.
Oh, in a sense, there's kind of diminishing returns because like once you reach a certain skill level, like your skills reach a certain number, it's so much to get to the next point that it's not even worth standing there hitting that tree anymore. It's better to move on to another high level item. So I guess in a sense it's gonna have its own built-in diminishing returns.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess I'm not gonna be that about it. But I think it's a time we call an end to this.
Yeah, I just now read your message.
Yeah. Not sure if you noticed how long we've been live for.
Yeah, I have. It doesn't seem to have had any real problems other than I was streaming Sammy's stream through my stream.
Yeah, no, mine's going pretty strong still. Like no
Yeah.
lag or anything.
Well, this Streamlabs OBS is really nice. I'm
Yeah,
really
I really like it too.
I mean, it blows XSplit out of the water, and I like XSplit more than OBS.
Yeah,
so.
it's actually a lot more user friendly, and there's a lot more features to it.
And that's funny because it's the same thing I said about XSplit. But this is just that good. Alrighty, man.
Well,
is John even here anymore?
No, John's gone. But as I say, thanks to everybody who is still watching, and thanks to everybody who stopped in and seen it, and anybody who's watching this on any of the other platforms we put it. Not sure what those will be yet. Probably.
Hey, watching on this on video and actually.
Yeah, that's why I say like any other platforms we put this on, whether it be, I'm sure I'll probably try and get the audio file from it for SoundCloud. Whatever else we can find.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna put this specific episode on YouTube.
Maybe not this specific one, but like keep an eye out. There'll be. Yeah. We'll probably like put our stuff in Twitter. That's
I got a couple follows. How about you?
No, not today. I pretty much sent like everywhere I posted where I normally stream and stuff like that. I pretty much had to tell them that you come watch it on your channel.
Okay. Oh, that's cool. Thank you.
This really is your show. I might be a regular, but it's your show.
I am the 656 after all.
So I want this. If I gain viewers from it, then that's fine.
Oh, hey, I have no problem with this being like streamed by everyone that's in it at the time.
No, that's fine. But like, I mean, I want this to be.
It also happens to give shared views for everybody, which definitely helps out people.
Yeah.
Like if I can get Sammy on here, and I can get him a few viewers, that'd be awesome.
Because I know that I'm already sitting at over 20 followers. That's not a lot, but still. Just
well,
over
Sammy
20.
blows us out of the water. He has 175.
Oh well.
Yeah, but I mean, that would help us out too.
Yeah. Plus, that's 20 viewers that he probably doesn't have.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it'd be really awesome for him.
So I'd let them help him out.
Yeah.
But yeah. So.
All right. That's a wrap. Later, guys.